molecular atmosphere.
Moscow. First, MCC Moscow. Virus, MCC Moscow. Virus, Moscow, if you can copy, please respond. First, ISS, how copy? Through very strong noise. So, first, can copy you.
The Russian mission control team in Koryov and Pavel Vinogradov on board the International Space Station will continue to try and get what communications they can with the Soyuz craft during its descent.
Unintelligible.
Per the entry timeline, the craft should have began and moved past its entry interface.
Unintelligible.
At this point, you can see the line for the Earth's atmosphere right at about 61.9 miles over the Earth's surface. Once the descent module passes through that, it begins the period of heating, which the
First, we got you, but with lots of noise.
Again, following entry interface, the heat shield of that descent module will continue to protect the crew inside from the heat of re-entry, with temperatures reaching as high as 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Still very strong noise. Unintelligible.
So the Soyuz craft continuing to descend right now through the Earth's atmosphere. We're getting intermittent communications from the crew with a good deal of interference, much of this usually due to the plasma buildup around the craft, which can interfere with the antennas and the communication equipment on board. In just about 2 minutes from now, the crew will be passing through their maximum G-force load, sustaining about 4 to 5 Gs during this re-entry. You can see a representation here of the heat shield following that max Gs. Just about 4 minutes from now, the command to open the parachutes will be given while the craft is at an altitude of about 6.7 miles. First, 2 pilot chutes will be deployed, the second of which extracting the drogue chute. That drogue will slow the craft down from 230 meters per second to 80 before deploying the main chute, which will slow it to a softer descent rate of only 7.2 meters per second. The final touch before landing the soft landing engines, which will be exposed about 1 minute after the command to open chutes is given and the heat shield is separated. Those soft landing jets firing just before the last moment of touchdown. Once that main parachute is deployed, it'll tilt the Soyuz to about a 30-degree angle in order to dispel any of the excess heat from re-entry before it then reorients the craft for a vertical descent. Again, that main chute, fairly large, covering an area of about 1,000 meters, will slow the craft down from about a descent rate of 80 meters per second to only 7.2. Again, dispersing much of any of the residual heat from re-entry, also slowing the craft down to its final descent rate right before those soft landing jets fire and the crew touches down in Kazakhstan. Meanwhile, the landing and recovery teams have since deployed from their respective airports, deploying from 2 separate locations for today's landing. The prime landing crew in 4 of the 12 Russian Mi-8 helicopters you see there, deploying from Zhezkazgan, just to the northwest of the landing site. Among those prime crews are any of the landing surgeons in charge of crew health once they get back down to the ground, and also the teams from RSC Energia responsible for safeing the device and also extracting the crew from it.
75, integral plus 18. Transition into...
At this point, though, we're passing into the point on the timeline and the visiting vehicle officer confirming the crew currently undergoing their max G loads.
And decreasing.
Currently about 21.1 miles over the Earth's surface.
3.5 and dropping. Copy. And out. Copy. How does the crew feel?
At this point, the 6 all-terrain vehicles are in place at the landing site. The recovery helicopters continuing to circle in a racetrack fashion as they wait for visual confirmation of the descent module as it passes down under parachute load to that landing site in Kazakhstan.
Misses 10 kilometers. Copy. Miss 10 kilometers.
Next, we'll be standing by for the command to open the parachutes and the deployment of the first 2 pilot parachutes.
Still good. Proceeding as written. Copy. Okay, the book is now very heavy. Not just the book, but my head as well. So we're all sitting with our heads down, closed, inaudible.
Roman Romanenko reporting the effects of the crew feeling while they pass through that max G-load portion of their descent.
Time is coming. First, Mission Control Moscow. First, MCC.
Standing by for confirmation of the shoot command being given. It's about 14 minutes away from touchdown.
We feel good. Everything is normal. Proceeding with the descent. Inaudible. Pressure is dropping.
So the airplane circling the recovery area reporting successful chute deployment. That initial chute deployment coming at an altitude of about 6.7 miles. Those circling aircraft serving as eyes in the sky for the landing and recovery forces, of which the Mi-8 helicopters have at this point reached the landing zone and are circling, awaiting the touchdown of that Soyuz craft just a little over 12 minutes from now. Of the chutes, the two pilot parachutes first deployed, the second of which extracting that drogue chute, slowing the craft down to a descent rate of only 80 meters per second, down from 230. Following that, the main chute then being released to do much of the slowing down to the final descent rate.
The pressure is still 780, still great. Proceeding nominally. We're in a lateral movement, right? Yes. I copy you loud and clear. How copy? How copy? I'm here. Don't worry about it. Okay. How copy?
Команда ПСС, как нас слышно?
How copy?
Ну как, интересно? Очень.
There we are getting live views now from the search and recovery forces of that Soyuz craft as it makes its final descent.
Everything is nominal.
You can see it there under the main parachute, heading down towards its touchdown just about 10 minutes from now.
What's the pressure? Nominal, we're ready. All right, everything's fine. So the seats and the seat liners are up. Oxygen is being sent into the cabin. We don't have all of the parameters though. Let me try. So
while we're getting communications from the crew, you also hear the intermittent beeping sound.
Good.
It's a beacon that is emanating from the Soyuz craft that search and recovery forces can use to pinpoint the exact touchdown location of the Soyuz vehicle.
Steering. Format 1.
Right now the craft under main chute continuing to slow its descent to that final rate of 7.2 meters per second.
That's good.
At this point the heat shield has already detached some minutes ago, exposing the vehicle's altimeter and also the soft landing engines, which will fire approximately 2 seconds before touchdown.
Unfortunately.
Those soft landing engines, 6 engines located on the bottom portion of the Soyuz craft, will be used to slow the Soyuz descent